Hi there. Welcome to live stream Yoga with Louise, tips and cues to keep you safe and strong on the mat. Today's yoga class is all about strengthening, lengthening, stretching and toning the trunk and the midsection of the body. Do the work so that you never have to wrestle yourself into a SPANX-like girdle to try and make yourself look slimmer. As always, move and play where you're comfortable, modify if you need to, rest when you need to. You ready? Let's hit the mat. We're going to start off today's class coming into a standing frame towards the top end of the mat with enough room to take a lunge step back. Find your way into a narrow mountain by heel toeing the feet in so that the big toes and the ankles are flush along the midline of the body. Stand up as tall as you can. Maybe begin by just dropping the arms long and lengthened towards the mat. Start to squeeze the two legs towards the midline of the body. Tuck the tailbone under, pull the belly button in, and start to find a sense of length through the body. Gently float the arms out in front. Interlace the fingers, bringing the two index fingers together and crossing the thumbs as you find your way into Jupiter Mudra. Standing up nice and tall, begin to stretch and lengthen from the shoulder blades towards the tips of your index fingers. Keeping that sense of length through the arms, start to float your Jupiter Mudra overhead so that you form a long steeple-like frame on the mat. Use the index fingers to begin tracing a circular pattern on the ceiling and start to stretch a little bit more through the trunk. Maybe bringing the movement not only into the shoulders, but also starting to sway and circle gently into the hips, if you like. Start to stretch through the trunk as best you can. Come to stillness along the midline of the body, reaching long through your steeple. Keep that steeple-like frame through the arms as you find your way into a modified Warrior 3. Without popping and rotating through the shoulders and the hips, you're going to start dragging the left leg behind you, big toe dragging along the mat, trying to come into a tabletop line, framing your ears on either side with your steeple, looking for stillness, looking for control. Then bend the lead leg and take a lunge step back, tucking the toes under as you come into a modified Warrior 1 and keep creeping. You're sliding the back leg away, trying to drop as low as you can through the pelvis towards the floor. Keep reaching long through your steeple frame. Then relax your back knee, shin and foot. Start giving me more of a crescent shape through the back, almost as if you were falling back over a big Swiss ball, hollowing out the back, stretching into the trunk and the lower belly. Then drape the arms softly on the mat, either side of your lead leg, tuck your back toe under, and step your way back into a down dog frame. Maybe take a few moments to take a little pedal, keeping the knees tracking forward as you settle into your down dog stretch. Then try to anchor down as best you can through the heels. Pike your bum up as high as you can to the ceiling. Feed your head through your hands as if you were trying to tap your nose towards your knees and try to give me the slimmest belly that you can. Then soften the right knee. Kick up the right leg behind you. Maybe you want to work with a braced foot. Maybe you want to work with a soft toe line. Hold. Keep lengthening through that back leg. Keep your hips level on both sides. We're going to come into a high or a low lunge from here, depending on how stable you're feeling on the mat. You're going to think knee to hip, swing the leg through, preferably to the inside of the right hand. Keep the back toe tucked under. Come back into your high lunge line. Or you can drop the back knee to the floor if you need to. And you're going to open up your arms into a little cactus frame. So you've got a nice little bend in the elbows. Elbows are more or less at shoulder height. You're going to float the left arm in front of you, overlay the right arm into the left and try to bring the two hands softly together, forming a soft eagle-like frame with the arms. You're going to reach your eagle frame to the ceiling and back to your start position a few times, getting a nice little stretch into the front of your body. Then come to stillness. Find your way back into warrior 3, keeping your eagle bind. Step up the back leg. Use the toes if you need to find your balance and try to come back into an eagle warrior 3. Reaching long through your fingertips and the back toes. Then step your way back down. Unwind your hands and open up into a warrior 2 frame. Nice bend on the lead leg, back leg is open at 90, and your arms are T-framed alongside your body, palms looking down with your gaze steady over the front forefinger. Then invert the front hand, drop your back hand to your back leg, and just reach tall for the sky, trying to grow through the front of your trunk as you give me a modified reverse warrior. Try to keep the bend in the lead leg. Ease your way from here back into a warrior 2-like frame with both sets of fingertips looking up towards the sky. We're going to play. You're going to tuck the back toe under, give me half a rotation, and come back to your start position. You're going to do that 5 times. Just giving me a soft little rotation. Palms are looking up. Think Lady Liberty through the hands. Then drop both sets of hands down to the floor. Find your way back into child pose. Maybe big toes together, knees open nice and wide. As you think bum to heels, extending the arms softly on the mat in front, allowing your forehead to maybe gently connect to the floor, or you could place a block underneath your forehead if you need to. Then keeping the arms as long as you can, creep them off center towards the left, stopping when your right arm is flush against your ear. Reach as long as you can through the fingertips and try to grow through your trunk. Inhale, walk your way back towards the center line. And exhale to take your finger creep to the other side. Trying to grow through your trunk. Inhale, bleed yourself back to center. Maybe relaxing down through the elbows and the forearms and the hands. Taking a little time out in child, Balasana. Then ease your way from here into a soft 4-point kneeling frame, maybe coming onto the tips of your fingers, tuck your toes under, hover your knees off the floor, maybe taking a little bunny hop forward or step up the legs one at a time, coming back into your narrow foot stance with the big toes and the ankles flush. Ragdoll style, peel up along the midline of the body. Find your way to your original frame on the mat, standing up nice and tall in your narrow mountain Tadasana. Tuck your tailbone under, pull your belly button in. Reach the arms long and lengthened in front of you and find your way into Jupiter Mudra. Lengthen from your shoulders towards the tips of your index fingers. Then start forming that long steeple-like frame on the ceiling, and this time begin to trace an anti-clockwise circle with your steeple fingertips. Maybe moving just through the shoulders and the arms, or maybe you want to bring the movement into your hips as well. Just see how your body feels. Try to shoot for as much length through the trunk as you can. Come to stillness in your steeple frame. We're going to find our warrior 3. Start floating the right leg behind you. Drag the big toe along the mat. Hinge forward, trying to come into a tabletop frame. Forming a long line through the arms, the back, and the hips. Take a big lunge step back, tucking the toe under and beginning to slide the back leg away as you come into a high lunge-like warrior 1 hybrid. Lengthening for the sky with those steeple fingertips. Then relax your back, knee, shin, and foot to the floor. Start giving me more of a crescent shape through the back as if you were leaning back and wrapping yourself over a big Swiss ball. Get a nice stretch into the belly area. Then uninterlace your arms. Begin to gently drape them on the mat and ease your way from here into a down dog frame. Maybe you'd like to pedal it out. Then begin to settle into your down dog stretch. Trying to pike up your bum as high as you can to the ceiling, thinking belly to spine. See if you can bleed your way into a three-legged dog on the left. Soften the left knee and kick up the left leg behind you. Maybe you want to brace the foot. Maybe you'd like to work with a soft toe line, but try to keep your shoulders and your hips as level as you can. So no popping, no rotating. Give yourself a few breaths here, and then use this three-legged dog to set up a high lunge line with the left leg in front. Think knee to hip or knee to nose, step the leg through to the inside of the left hand. Try to keep the back toes tucked under and the knee off the floor, or you can relax that knee to the mat if you need to. Come into a high lunge line, giving me a cactus frame through the arms. Float the right arm in front, overlay the left arm into the right and try to bring the two palms together. Then start reaching for the ceiling with your fingertips as you hold that lunge line, whether you're high on the mat or low on the mat. Then try to bleed your way from here into a warrior three. Step up the back leg, use the toe if you need to find your balance. Think of coming back into that warrior three and holding steady. Then take a big lunge step back, untwine your hands, windmill them open and find your way into a nice long warrior two. Reaching long through the tips of your fingers as if you were trying to tap the wall in front of you and the wall behind you. Look for a sense of length through not only the arms, but also through the legs and the crown. Then invert your front hand, drop your back hand to your back leg, reach for the sky through the lead arm and try to breathe as deeply as you can into the front of your rib cage. Find your way back into your warrior two-like frame, but this time your palms are looking up to the ceiling so that you resemble maybe a measuring scale. You're going to rotate on the back leg, give me half a rotation through the trunk, and then come back to your start position. You're going to play with that little rotation a few times. Keep lengthening through your fingertips, keep lengthening through your crown. One more. Then drop your hands to the mat. Step your way back into child, maybe big toes together, or maybe you'd like to keep your legs in parallel. Arms are extended on the mat in front of you. Relax your forehead to the mat. Take a big breath in, and then on the exhale, creep your hands off center to the right, as far as you can till you flush against your head on the left. Keep reaching long through your fingertips, almost clawing the mat. Inhale to creep back to center, and exhale to take it to the other side. Try to stretch and come out through your trunk as best you can. Inhale to peel back to center, and then relax your elbows, your forearms, your wrists, your palms, your fingers into the mat, and just give yourself a recovery breath or two. Thinking long, lean trunk as you do so. Ease your way into a high fingertop 4-point kneeling position on the mat. Tuck your toes under. You're going to hover those knees off the floor. Take a little hop or a step forward, coming back into that flush leg position so the big toes and the ankles are flush along the midline of the body. You're going to relax the feet to the mat and come straight into a half moon, opening up the body into a soft T-like frame. Then anchoring both hands into the mat and taking a little pyramid step back. You can have that pyramid as narrow or as wide as you're comfortable, and you're going to start playing between your half moon, T open, and your little pyramid frame on the mat. Every time you come into the half moon, you start to rotate softly through the hips, stacking one hip on top of the other. When you step back into your little into your pyramid frame, all 10 toes are looking to the front of the mat, and you're trying to anchor through both feet as best you can. If you can't keep your hands connected to the mat when you come into the pyramid, you could maybe just step into the tabletop frame, maybe just hanging your fingertips nice and long to the mat before you launch off the back leg and come back into your half moon Ardha Chandrasana, and then find your pyramid Parsvottanasana. Do that a few times, maybe 5 or 6 repetitions, just getting the body to stretch and open up. And then after your last half moon, you're going to bend the lead leg and you're going to take a big lunge, warrior 2-like lunge back and come into a side angle. Maybe hand on the outside of your lead leg. Maybe you'd like to rest your elbow on the thigh of your lead leg, or maybe you'd like to use a block on the inside of your foot. Take a few moments here, try to lengthen through the top arm, and then rotate your side angle. Start to drop down through the left shoulder, anchor the hand underneath your shoulder, start to rotate on the back foot, think high lunge line, and take your soft T-twist to side 2. Keep lengthening through that top arm. You're going to find your way from here into a high plank line, both hands either side of the lead leg as you step back, and then start to give me a revolving side plank, knife edge in your feet, as you flip one arm up towards the sky, trying to forge a T-frame through the arms, giving yourself a few soft revolving side planks here. Find your way back to your plank, nice and long through the trunk. Ease your way into child pose. Arms are extended on the mat in front, reaching long through your fingertips. Big breath in. Creep your hands off center to the left, reaching as long through the fingertips as you can. Inhale to come back to center. Exhale to creep off center to the other side. Trying to really grow through the trunk as you creep off center. Keep your belly button gently pulled into center as you find your way back to the center line, and then relax through the elbows, the forearms, the wrists, the hands, the fingertips. Give yourself a couple of soft recovery breaths. And then when you're ready, ease your way into a spider, high fingertip, 4-point kneeling frame. Tuck your toes under. See if you can hover your knees just off the floor. Step or hop up, bringing your legs in flush along the midline of the body, and start to open up into your half moon frame, leading with the left leg in front, and then drop into a small pyramid. Start to play dynamically between the two frames and just find a gentle frame, or rather a gentle flow that works for you. Every time you come into the half moon frame, you focus on stacking, rotating through the hips, lengthening towards the sky. When you come into the pyramid frame, you try to step the back leg a little bit further back every time and anchor through both legs as best you can. Play with the movement. So lots of balance, control, coordination, all being challenged. And don't judge your body if the balance isn't there today. Just play where you are able to, without judgment. Let's find our way into a last half moon, and we'll use the half moon to find our way into a side angle lunge. So think warrior 2-like stance through the legs. Bend the lead leg. Think 90 on the back leg. Maybe you've got your left hand on the outside of your stabilizing leg. Maybe you're using the elbow to push off your lead leg. Just think of forming a soft T-like frame through the arms, and then start to change and rotate to the other side, tucking the toe under, bringing the heel up off the floor as you rotate your side lunge. Find your way into a plank line from here. So you're framing the lead leg on either side, and then begin to work your revolving side plank, alternating right to left, left to right, trying to keep those hips up without collapsing through them as you rotate side to side. Just give yourself a couple of gentle rounds. Don't worry about the amount of repetitions. Just find a gentle flow. Ease your way back into your plank. Find child. Arms are long and reaching in front of you. Take a big breath in, trying to lengthen through the trunk as much as you can. Creep your fingertips off center to the right as far as you can. Reach as long as you can through the fingertips and try to grow through your trunk. Creep your way back to center. And then on the exhale, take it to the other side. Reach as long as you can through your fingertips to your arms. Try to grow your trunk. Stretch, lengthen. Ease your way back to center. Relax through your elbows, your forearms, your wrists, your palms, the tips of your fingers. Give yourself a delicious recovery breath or two. We're going to find our way from here into the seated staff pose at the front of the mat. Find your way through 4-point kneeling, maybe coming onto the tips of your fingers, maybe tucking your toes under, hovering your knees off the floor, maybe taking a little hop forward, crossing the feet behind you, sitting back on the bum, and then extending the legs long and lengthened into a staff-like pose in front of you. Bring the 2 feet together if you can, so you're squeezing along the midline. Inner thighs are active. You're pulling up from the pelvic floor. Find Jupiter Mudra, trying to keep your index fingers and your palms more or less in line with your hips. You're going to give me an L lean forward and an L lean back. Shooting for the longest trunk that you can and trying not to drop the hands as you float forwards and backwards. Exhale as you lean forward. Inhale as you lean back. Maybe starting to work with a nice audible breath pattern. Get some heat energy going in the body. Then stay here or find your way into a boat line. Maybe bracing softly on the shins as you tip the weight just off your tailbone. Maybe you're able to float the toes off the mat. Opening up into a little soft T-like frame and coming back to your start position. Or if you want to work your trunk and your core more aggressively, from your boat tuck, you're going to drop all the way down into a U-like hold and then bring it back to your tuck. So either playing low to the mat, using more core to come up, or just holding your soft boat-like frame and playing there. See what works for you. Then come back into your original staff pose. Bend the left leg and place the sole of the left foot on the inseam of the right leg. Sit up nice and tall. Maybe brush your hands down the right thigh. Maybe aiming for your toes if you can. Or maybe using a strap to loop around the foot. Or maybe you'd like to take a block, place it on the inside of your leg, lean into the block, or maybe use the block to hook around your foot. Try to lengthen through the trunk as best you can, wherever you decide to play. And just give yourself a couple of generous breaths here. Keeping your belly button softly pulled into center. Try to stretch and grow through the trunk as best you can. Breathing nice and deeply into the back and the sides of your ribs. Then ever so gently, find your way from here into a soft butterfly line, bringing the soles of your feet together, knees open to the side of the room, and see if you can give me a big toe lock by taking your middle index finger and thumb like a little crab pincer and looping your crab pincer around the big toe on each side. Sit up nice and tall. You're almost thinking of putting the toes up to the sky. The crown goes up to the sky, but the knees are falling towards the floor. Then see if you can give me that little L lean back, tipping off the center line. using your core to hold the frame. See if you can maintain that toe lock while stretching and extending the one leg out to the side of the room. Bring it back and maybe try the same on side 2. If both sides felt relatively good, see if you can simultaneously open up the legs into a soft V frame, maintaining that toe lock. Still feels good? Maybe you can bring the legs along the midline of the body and open up into V, just playing with that movement, keeping that control through the trunk. So you keep thinking of pulling up a zip on a really tight pair of skinnies from your pubic bone towards your belly button line. Then drop back down into staff pose, maybe giving me a big toe lock and bleeding your elbows out to the side of the room as you think nose to knee. Or maybe you'd like to just sit up nice and tall and place the hands on the top of your thighs if bringing nose to knee is not for you today. Then peel back up into a nice high seat. Keep the right leg long and lengthened. And instead of bending the left leg and placing the sole on the inseam of the leg, see if you can rotate the leg in the opposite direction. So you're almost thinking of tucking your heel in as close to your bottom as you can. You can shoot maybe for a nice L frame between the two legs, or you could bring the two knees closer together if that feels more comfortable for you. Find the frame that works for you. Sit up nice and tall. Try to get a sense of evenness through both bum bones, coming down into the mat equally. And then slide, walk, or creep your way forward, trying to maybe drape or grip around the lead foot or toes. Think nose to knee and give yourself a couple of deep breaths here. Trying to stretch through the trunk as you hook over your foot. Stay here, or maybe you'd like to try and get a little bit more of a stretch and a tone through the trunk by keeping a big toe lock and dropping your right elbow to the inside of the right knee. If your elbow doesn't touch the floor, maybe reach for a block. Use that to support your frame, and then see if you can give me a soft, almost bowling-like action with the other arm, either reaching for the sky or maybe getting a little bit more stretch and bringing that arm closer to your ear. Maybe you could even reach around and grab hold of the pinky toe. Give yourself a couple of generous breaths here, almost trying to peep underneath the top arm, get a little bit more rotation through the shoulders and peek up to the sky. Then maybe changing the stretch into the trunk slightly. Focus on your bottom arm. You can either bring the block in closer if you're using the block, rest the elbow on the block and maybe fingertips on the top of your thigh, maintaining the toe lock here. Or if you've got the range of motion and you don't need the block, you're going to drop the elbow to the floor, closer towards your crotch line. You're going to feed your fingertips underneath your body, reaching for the heel of your back foot while you maintain a toe lock, either a big toe lock or maybe just reaching around the ball of your foot, grasping all 5 toes and pulling them softly back. Wherever you decide to be, try to breathe as deeply as you can into the left side of your ribs. Give yourself a couple of generous breaths here. And then bleed your way softly back to center. Find your way back into staff pose, maybe giving the legs a little wiggle and a wriggle out. Sit up nice and tall. Bring the 2 feet together, start squeezing the energy between the inner thighs together. Sit up as tall as you can, so you're not collapsing your frame on the mat. You're thinking girdle around your trunk, almost trying to float your whole trunk up towards the sky. Find your way into Jupiter Mudra. Palms nice and high, more or less in line with your shoulders. You're going to lean forward and lean back, seesaw style, and start to play with that almost lengthening through your trunk. So every time you lean forward, you try to come a little bit more out through the trunk. Every time you lean back, you try to lean a little bit longer through the trunk. Use your breath. Exhale as you lean forward. Inhale as you lean back. Stay here or find your way into a little boat tuck. Tipping the weight just off the tailbone. So strong through your core, keep lengthening through your trunk, maybe opening up into a soft hovering T-frame and tucking back in. Or maybe you'd like to work the core a little bit more, giving me a fall back all the way so you almost got a hollow trunk and you're reaching along through the fingertips. Then contract to the core, pull your knees back up to your start position and begin to play. Don't worry about how many repetitions you're doing, whether you're playing big or small. Just try to find a soft sense of fluidity, lots of control through the core, lots of length through the trunk. Then sit up nice and tall, come back to your original staff pose. Start bending the right leg, place the sole of the foot on the inseam of the left leg. Make sure you ground it nice and evenly through both sets of bum bones. And maybe just creep, walk, or slide your hands into a soft forward fold. Maybe you're hooking around the foot. Maybe you're using your block to either find a nice comfortable cushion on the inside. Maybe you'd like to use it to get yourself more stretch through the trunk by hooking the block around your foot, pulling the block towards your body, resisting with the foot. Maybe you just like to use a strap or your fingertips to hook around the edge of your toe and play there. Try to grow through the trunk and stretch through the trunk as best you can while you're in this position, keeping your belly button gently pulled into center the whole time. Give yourself a couple of soft breath cycles. From here, you're going to gently peel your way into a butterfly line, bringing the soles of your feet together, maybe giving me that big toe lock around the big toe of each foot. Think of gently pulling your toes towards the sky, floating your whole trunk and your crown towards the sky, and at the same time making your knees really heavy to the floor, your knees and your bum bones heavy to the floor. Then see if you can tip the weight off your tailbone. Think L-lean. That feels good. See if you can maybe open up one leg to the side of the room, keeping that toe lock. Keep pulling up that imaginary zip from your tailbone towards your belly line. Then try the stretch on the other side, keeping that big toe, that Padangusthasana lock. Then maybe try both legs together, opening up into a soft V-like boat. If this feels good, keep using that sense of length through the trunk to anchor you as you think of bringing the legs closer towards the midline of the body and then opening them up almost in a soft butterfly wing flapping like motion. Keep looking for that sense of length through the trunk. Find your way back into a high staff position. Bringing the legs down as slowly as you can, maybe folding forward into Paschimottanasana, maybe grabbing the big toes, or maybe using that block, hooking it around your feet so you can get more stretch into the trunk. So you're pulling the feet towards your body line and you're pulling the block in towards your body line and you're pushing with your feet into the block so that you get that sense of resistance. You could also just place the block between your two thighs and lean into it. Or maybe you want to play with a belt, a strap. Maybe you want to just play freestyle, hooking around your toes. Maybe floating your elbows out to the side of the room, trying to stretch as much as you can into your trunk. Give yourself a couple of generous breaths here, just thinking nose to knee as you come into Paschimottanasana, intense forward fold. Trying to iron out those tight little kinks behind the knees. Then peel up and find your way into your gate line, Paringasana. Instead of having the sole of the foot on the inside, see if you can wrap your leg to the opposite side, either giving me an L frame between the two legs, or maybe you'd like to bring the two knees in closer towards each other. Take a big breath in and just fold forward over your extended leg. Maybe this means fingertips, palms, or forearms on the floor. Maybe this means wrap around the foot. Maybe you'd like to use that fluff or that strap to see if you can get a little bit more stretch into the trunk. Play with it. See where you need to be today. And then maybe begin to change the stretch into your trunk slightly. Keeping the big toe lock, see if you can drop your elbow to the inside of the floor. And then maybe with a soft bowling-like action, bringing the other arm up to T, or maybe closer to your ear, or maybe wrapping all the way around to reach for the outside of your pinky toe. Try to get a little bit more rotation on the top shoulder, almost peeking around it towards the ceiling. Maybe you'd like to try and bind to that back foot. So bringing your anchoring arm in closer, reaching underneath you to grab hold of the back heel. Keep working that rotation on the top arm. Keep trying to grow through your trunk as best you can. Give yourself a couple of generous breaths here. And then when you're ready, you're going to think about how you're going to find your way from here into a supine position. Maybe bleeding up nice and tall, finding your way back into staff pose. Maybe giving me one soft fall back, so just sitting up nice and tall, arms extended in front of you. Try to hollow out your belly, round out your back. And as soon as your lower back starts to touch the mat, float your feet off, giving me a hollow-like frame on the mat. And then just dropping back almost into a soft mini Shavasana, relaxing into the mat. Then bend your knees, connect the soles of your feet to the mat, and float your hands overhead. Maybe palms looking up to the sky. Start in neutral spine with a little space between your lower back and the mat, almost trying to lengthen through your trunk as you do so. On the exhale, you're going to scoop to peel up off your shoulders. You're going to draw your knees into table, hovering just off the body, and then inhale to come back down to the mat. Maybe giving me 5 repetitions with this bent leg. And then if that feels good and you'd like to try to get a little bit more stretch into the trunk, maybe extending the legs, taking a long little stretch here, maybe reaching through your toes, reaching through your fingertips, or maybe you'd like to keep a little brace into the feet. And then on the exhale, bring the legs to 90, scoop to peel up off the shoulders, and give me 5 with an extended leg line. If you find the extended leg line is too challenging for you today, just play with the bent leg option that we did in the first round. So you play where you're comfortable, either legs bent or legs extended. Then drape yourself long and lengthened on the mats, arms and legs in a side parallel line. And just give me a little reaching stretch side to side, reaching through your right fingertips and toes, and then your left fingertips and toes. Trying to stretch and grow and slim down through the trunk. Then relax your body into the mat. Bend your knees, connect the soles of your feet to the mat. Draw your legs into tabletop. And cross your right leg over your left as if you were sitting cross-legged on the couch. Either stay here with the feet softly chilled or tuck into a full eagle bind by taking your right toes and seeing if you can wedge or tuck them behind the left calf. Then open up your arms into a soft cactus-like frame. Float the left arm out in front of you. Overlay the right arm into the left, trying to bring the hands together into an almost prayer-like position. On an exhale, skip to peel up off the shoulders and think of trying to bring your elbow points and your knees closer, and then inhale to come back down to the mat. Just 5 little taps. Peel back down to the mat, drop the arms at your side in a soft Shavasana-like position, and bring the legs into a soft turnout position. Heels touching, toes looking to the corner of the mat, spine in neutral, belly button nice and heavy. Bend the right knee, take it out to the side of the room and draw it in towards the center line. Keep tracing that little circular pattern with the right knee, keeping the turnout position on the left, and just keep thinking of softly caressing the mat with your right foot. So you're not lifting the whole foot off the mat. Give me the flattest belly that you can and try to grow through your trunk as you play with that soft rotational movement through the trunk. Come back to your turnout position, then bring the two toes together. Start to extend the arms and the legs and give me that little stretch, alternating stretching through the right side and the left side of the body with the longest toe and fingertip line that you can, holding a comfortable neutral spine position. Then relax your body into the mat. Bend your knees, connect the soles of your feet to the mat and find your way back into your tabletop line. This time, cross the left leg over the right. Maybe see if you can come into the eagle bind by tucking your left toes behind the right calf. Start to open up your arms into a soft cactus-like frame. Float the right arm in front of you. Overlay the left arm into the right, starting to bring the two palms together. When you're ready, you're going to think of making a little shrimp-like shape, scooping to peel up off the shoulders, trying to tap the knees and the elbow points as close together as you can on an active exhale. Maybe 5 little taps. Then unbleed the arms, place them in a soft Shavasana-like position, unwrap the legs. Tap to extend them along the mat and find a gentle turnout position, holding neutral spine. Take the left knee out to the side of the room and in towards the center line. Keep tracing that circular pattern with the left leg, keeping the turnout position on the right. Then extend through both legs. Grow your fingertips overhead. Take that alternating stretch, side to side, long supine position on the body, trying to grow and lengthen through the trunk. Then allow the inner thighs to rotate out. Find your way into Shavasana, big toes looking to the corner of the mat. Arms at your sides at more of a 45-degree angle, palms looking up. Lift the shoulders off the mat. Make sure you almost look like a soft starfish on the mat. Close your eyes and take your focus inward. Focus on your hips and your pelvis. Reach long through your right toes, almost tilting the pelvis slightly to the right. Come back to neutral and then reach through the left toes. You're going to think of seesawing side to side, reaching through your toes, tilting through the pelvis, and then finding your way back to neutral, trying to get a sense of trying to lengthen and grow through the trunk. Come to stillness, reaching long through both sets of toes, and do the same with the arms. Reach long through your right fingertips. Come back to neutral, and then your left fingertips. Trying to look for additional length in the trunk as you reach side to side through the arms. Keeping your eyes closed and your focus inward. Come to stillness, reaching long through both sets of fingertips, both sets of toes, reaching long through the crown. Start to soften and relax your breath as you begin to drape and make your muscles nice and heavy into the mat. Give yourself a couple of lazy inhales and exhales here, trying just to relax, soften, and release on the exhale, almost melting your muscles, your whole body into the mat with each exhale. And then when you're ready to come out of Shavasana, maybe softly flutter opening your eyes. Maybe bending your knees, connecting the soles of your feet to the mat, rolling over onto one side, maybe into a soft fetal pose. Chilling here for a soft few breaths, maybe hand on the floor, maybe bracing around your top shin. Then ease your way from here into a high kneeling frame on the mat. Thinking shoulders, hips, knees all nicely stacked in a long line. Find your way back into Jupiter Mudra. Interlace your fingers, bring the index fingers together, extend the arms in front, float them overhead, and then begin to give me a little palm tree sway, side to side, trying to just grow through that trunk one last time, keeping belly to spine as you gently play with that movement. End in a long steeple-like fashion and bring those Jupiter fingertips down in front of your heart center, morphing your hands to prayer, maybe allowing your elbows to track wide, keep lengthening through your trunk and your crown as you end off your playtime on the mat for today. Namaste to you all. Thank you so much for coming out and playing. Hope you enjoyed. Give me a thumbs up. Shoot me your comments below. Make sure your notifications are on. Be ready for playtime on the mat. Till then, keep it light.